Joining us is Stephen Ellis, associate editor of the Daily Faceoff. Stephen, big sigh of relief, I think, right across the country as many people watching that game. It was close. Again, Nick Suzuki scored in the last few minutes of the third period to tie it up, so it was a very close game. Your thoughts on that one?
Well, I think, a lot of Leaf fans will be looking at Mitch Marner scoring a clutch goal and just they can't help but laugh, right? But, we knew the Czechs would be better than the first time we saw them play against Canada. Since then, they've kind of just figured out how to play a bit better offensively. Lukas Dostal has been very good internationally the last couple of years. He's the reason the Czechs won the World Championship in 2024, and they came out flying. And Canada was the better team statistically throughout, but they just weren't getting the chances. And then, obviously, losing Sidney Crosby didn't help. But I think Canadians will at least be able to breathe a little bit easier now the rest of the night. Yeah,
still awaiting who they're going to play in the semifinals, but let's talk about that Sidney Crosby injury. Apparently a lower body injury, left the game in the second period, did not return. This is the best on best, but clearly when you lose your captain, could have a significant impact going forward.
Yeah, Crosby's still been one of Canada's best players, and Coach John Cooper did say to his team after the game that this was not the last time we see Sidney Crosby at the Olympics. Now, it's not clear if that means we'll see him in 2030 or if we'll see him on Friday or Sunday, hopefully, when if Canada makes the gold medal game. But losing Crosby, you saw that team just lose momentum. Players had to play in different roles. Everything kind of changed. But one guy that really benefited from that was Nick Suzuki. He was leaned on heavily near the end, and he scored that game-tying goal on just one of the best shifts I think we've seen from any player on Team Canada at this tournament.
Yeah, it certainly was outstanding. Just such a clutch goal late in that third period for them to be able to do it. What is against Czechia, do you think, right now, too, Stephen? At the World Juniors, Canada's lost to them a number of years in a row, and you mentioned it. You knew they were going to come out a little bit harder, and they had the recipe, right? Try to get up early, try to shut things down, play the trap, and to get some good goaltending to try to beat the best team in this tournament.
You don't need motivation to go out and win a game in the Olympics, and you definitely don't need motivation to go out there and play hard against Canada. And I think for the Czechs, they've heard this whole time, Canada's the better team. They've got the most skill. They've got McDavid, McKinnon, Makar, Celebrini. How are you going to be able to stop them like that? And that's the thing. It's very hard to do that, and they learned that in that opening game. But I think they also just, the fact they played yesterday, they had that adversity. It wasn't an easy game against Denmark. I think also kind of set them up for an opportunity here to play a game where, yeah, they probably going to find themselves behind at one point. They did early, but then they were able to go out there and shut Canada down for a while just because they're a hardworking team that's got a lot of guys who know how to play grinder roles. So I think Canada had to adjust a little bit too late there, but again, I think Canada's going to be okay with it, and the PTSD has been avoided after the World Juniors.
Yeah, we will see. So, any thoughts, too, on a semifinal matchup, too? I know that the Swiss are up on Finland right now. That could be interesting, but maybe this quarterfinal was pretty good, but the U.S. still has to play Sweden, too, as well. If Sweden does win and upsets the U.S., then Canada will face them in the semis.
Yeah, and Sweden's been really good recently. Their last couple of games, they've shown that they could be a real powerhouse, but I also would not want to face Switzerland right now. That's a team that's got probably the best goalie in the tournament, and Leonardo Giannoni. He looks like he could potentially get a third shutout. He's been so good in this tournament. So I think with Switzerland, they might not have a lot of star power. Canada did beat them, but they're a good shutdown team, and then there's Sweden. Their offense is flying high right now. I would be really scared if I were the Americans right now.
Yeah, we will see what happens, too, later this afternoon. Stephen Ellis, associate editor of Daily Faceoff. Always love talking hockey with you. Thanks, Stephen.
Thanks so much.